Welcome to a new era of project excellence. Presenting the IDB Project Management Office. Inauguration.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. So today we are diving into something that is an absolute game changer for how we execute complex initiatives. We're looking at the IDB Project Management Office, or the PMO, Strategic Mission Control. Okay, let's jump right in. We're going to explore exactly how this new PMO brings strategic alignment, digital oversight, and seriously accelerated delivery straight to the heart of your projects. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of how it all works, let me ask you this. Are your critical projects getting stuck in organizational silos? I mean, we've all been there, right? You've got this brilliant initiative, the funding is totally locked in, the mandate is clear, but then, somehow, it just gets bogged down. Progress stalls out, and the frustration just builds. Well, if that sounds familiar, you are absolutely not alone, and this explainer is definitely for you. So to get us out of those silos, here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at organizational friction. Second, the PMO node itself. Third, the stakeholder hub. Fourth, continuous oversight. Number 5, the digital engine. And finally, number 6, getting to that frictionless delivery. Let's get moving. All right, Section 1, the organizational friction problem. We really need to take a quick look at the daily headaches teams are facing on the ground before we can fully appreciate the solution. Over to you to unpack what this actually looks like. You got it. It's actually kind of wild how accurately these 3 areas diagnose our collective pain points. First up, delivery delays. A lot of times, implementing divisions just lack the central facilitation they need to actually push things across the finish line on time. Then you've got operational bottlenecks. We've all seen crucial resources just become completely trapped because of cross-divisional silos, right? And finally, siloed oversight. Without regular unified monitoring, you essentially lose track of the portfolio's overall health. You can't proactively resolve conflicts. It's literally a recipe for stalled progress. Exactly. And that's exactly why this transition is so important. We're moving away from this chaotic, ad hoc oversight to regular, predictable monitoring. It establishes a real cadence for continuous visibility. We're also shifting from stalled progress to actively clearing out those bottlenecks. And where there's division, friction, the PMO steps right in to proactively resolve conflicts, kind of like a neutral referee. Finally, we turn resource scarcity into optimized resource flow, making it super convenient to direct capital and talent straight to the critical path. It's just a necessary operational shift. Which brings us to Section 2. Enter the PMO node. And I want to be super clear about something here. This PMO is definitely not some new layer of bureaucracy or red tape. Not at all. It is a strategic facilitator built literally to make project managers' lives so much easier. And this is where things get really fun. We're shifting to a facilitated delivery model. Now, normally you've got all those headaches we just talked about: stalled delivery, trapped resources, friction between divisions. But instead of letting those issues fester, they get channeled directly into this active PMO node right in the center. Through active facilitation, the PMO acts as a sort of converter. And what comes out the other side? Timely delivery, cleared bottlenecks, continuous resource flow, and super rapid conflict resolution. Having a dedicated node to handle all that friction just sounds like a massive relief, doesn't it? It really, really does. All right, moving on to Section 3, connecting the stakeholder hub. We need to look at how this PMO node physically connects different leadership entities to make all this frictionless delivery an actual reality. So this structure places the IDB Project Management Office right in the center, acting as a centralized hub for cross-functional facilitation. Think of it as a bidirectional conduit. From the top, you've got the Ministry of Finance, the President's Office, and IDB executive leadership. The PMO takes their executive mandates and translates them into actual, actionable operational plans for the implementing divisions at the bottom. But here's the best part. It also takes critical ground-level data from those divisions and escalates it right back up to leadership. Everyone is always on the exact same page. Yeah, and building on that, just look at the sheer scope of this hub. The multi-stakeholder project portfolio really shows us how far the PMO's reach extends. It's supporting everything from the feeder zone program, which is mandated by the Ministry of Finance, to the accredited lab testing program from the President's Office. And down on the core IDB operations, it's handling the capital budget, IDB funds, internal restructuring, and the industry plaza. It brings all of these incredibly crucial but disparate initiatives under one single, unified umbrella of oversight. So convenient. Now that we have a solid grasp on the structure, let's pivot to process in Section 4, continuous lifecycle oversight. Because having a hub is great, but you absolutely need a structured framework to guarantee that continuous support from day one all the way to completion. Right. So here is how the PMO actually manages that project lifecycle, broken down into 4 distinct phases. Phase 1 is intake and alignment, getting all those top-level mandates integrated. Phase 2 is structured planning, which means heavy work breakdown structure and critical path mapping. Phase 3 is active execution, where we are intensely focused on clearing bottlenecks and managing resource flow. And finally, Phase 4 is delivery, getting the job done on time. But definitely note that continuous loop of progress reviews and visual aids applied at every single checkpoint. You are quite literally never left in the dark. And to make that continuous loop actually work without totally overwhelming the teams, you need the right tools. So, welcome to Section 5, the Digital Monitoring Engine. This is the bespoke technology stack that makes all this cross-functional magic happen. Let's pop the hood and see what makes this dynamic environment run. Because the PMO definitely doesn't rely on static, clunky spreadsheets. It uses a fully layered digital engine. At the base, we have a bespoke app script core. Layered right on top of that is automated Gantt charting, work breakdown structure mapping, and critical path mapping. And capping the whole shebang off is a team builder collaboration module. It just strips away the friction for project managers by centralizing all the logic. It essentially transforms outdated project management into a living, breathing digital ecosystem. And the output of that engine is just so incredibly actionable. With the real-time operational registers and KPIs dashboard, we get real-time financial tracking right next to milestone registers. It proactively sniffs out bottlenecks using risk and issue registers. Plus, you get automated weekly reporting. But honestly, my favorite feature has to be the decision log. I mean, having an immutable tracking system for executive approvals and key pivot points really accelerates the whole process, doesn't it? It just ensures total accountability across the board. Oh, for sure, it's a total game changer. And all of these pieces bring us to our final section, achieving frictionless project delivery. Let's synthesize the ultimate benefits that this PMO actually delivers. We like to call this the PMO advantage, and it rests on 3 main pillars. First up, visibility. This is driven by the AppScript platform and all those visual aids, guaranteeing complete transparency across every portfolio. Second is velocity. We get there by proactively clearing out bottlenecks and smoothing out those resource flows. And third, harmony. This is maintained through active conflict resolution, centralized decision logs, and unified governance across all those different stakeholders. Which all leads to this incredible final result. Just look at this upward trend line. By applying the PMO advantage, we're taking all these isolated efforts, like the capital budget, the feeder zone, the presidential initiatives, and transforming them into one unified, digitally monitored portfolio. It's like a giant puzzle where all the pieces finally snap together perfectly. The result? Projects delivered on time, on budget, and entirely without friction. And that brings us to the end of our explainer today. But before we go, we want to leave you with one final provocative thought to consider. How will you leverage the PMO to accelerate your next big initiative?
The tools, the structure, and the support, they are all right there waiting for you. It is finally time to step out of those silos and into frictionless delivery. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next explainer.